Wow.
man. Well,
Sad.
that being said, you know, there was a song that came out that
Mm.
blessed my soul. It said, "Let's have church." You know what I'm saying?
It's
And
kind of talking about what we're talking about. Let's
basically,
go back
let's
to
go
where we
back.
had
You
integrity,
know,
where we had morals, where we had
yes,
ethics.
yes. And the funny thing about it is that you didn't have to go get some old dude to say, look, I recognize that we missing some things
Some
out.
things are
You
missing.
got somebody that was cool and had a little flavor, not little flavor, a lot of flavor.
New York
And
swag.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, Robert O'Dean. Who do we have with us today?
Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman's music is blessing the country. He has a couple of singles that have made national headlines, and we're
Mm.
so honored this morning because if you don't know him, after today, you will know him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pastor, this is a songwriter, this is a director. He can do it all for the sake of God. The one and the only, Lindsey Williams. Welcome to the Wake Up Morning Show.
God bless you. Thank you. Honored to be here. Honored to be here. Been
Well,
enjoying you guys so far.
Pastor,
Yes, come on, Pastor.
in this time, in this season,
Yes.
I'm getting real
You
pastor
getting
show
deep
today.
and spooky.
Woo! In this time, in this season, my first question to you is, what is the message that you are pushing in this time and in this season?
Well, that's a great question. My father is a strong doctrinal preacher. He's been preaching for 53 years, pastoring for 48. And he doesn't wait to Easter or resurrection time to preach Jesus. He preached Jesus year in, year out. I don't care if you invite him to preach and your theme is 27 and we going to heaven. He's going to preach Jesus. He is Jesus all day long. And so my first single that we put out, I Belong to You, was actually written maybe 20 years ago. He preached a sermon saying he purchased our salvation. We belong to him. And it just kind of resonated in my mind. So um, my message will always be Jesus. I feel like they're trying to take Jesus out of the lingo and the lyrics, and the more they take it out, the more I put it in. And for me, it's not about um, popularity or touring. I've done all that, and I appreciate you guys for playing it. But I'm gonna keep Jesus in there as much as I can.
Yes, sir.
I work at a school as well, and I heard you guys talking about the BET Awards. I'll be honest with you. Most of these TV shows are giving the culture what they feel the culture is asking for.
Hmm.
All of us on this line right here, we grew up watching it. And if we was that age that those kids are in high school and middle school, we wouldn't see nothing wrong with it. And I think what has happened, and I'm not condoning it, but
Right.
me working at this school changed a lot. I know what I have to do now in my church because what's happening is I have a daughter, I have a son, and each culture falls in line with what the desired taste is.
Hmm.
And people who are younger, they're not complaining about the BET Awards. I went to the car wash the other day. I live in New York, so it's probably a little worse here than what is out there. And this girl, she had her whole the shorts was cut. I mean, she basically just had on the belt. How about that? That's what
Right.
I say.
Right.
And nobody said nothing. I'm like, am I getting too old to be outside? Like I don't, something ain't right with that,
Right.
And so I feel like the more you take Jesus out of the gospel, even in this on the pulpit, people not preaching Jesus no more. They're not singing Jesus. So the more Jesus is being pulled away, the more society is going down the drain. And that's my message, man. Jesus, man. I mean, can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I am just a 1 year retired educator, but I was in education for 39 years,
Hmm.
and I worked in the inner city. And what in working with young men and young women, what I've deemed to see is that they gravitate to that because they think that's the only way that they can stay relevant. But when
Right.
we began to offer them other ways to be relevant, then they would shun away from it. So a lot of conversations I've had with young people outside of the church was even
Mhm.
they were uncomfortable because they said they as talented as much talent as they saw on the stage, they were disappointed that it became what people have called soft porn. But then they really went in on Kurt Franklin, and they basically said, okay, Kirk ain't the only person out there. Is every time somebody want to do gospel, they throw Kirk on it and they think it's gonna make it right. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, and this is the thing that I grew up on, and I watched my young people grow up. They gravitate to things that other people will gravitate to if they don't have any other choices. But if we give them other choices, if we begin to celebrate that girl that's fully clothed but still can show off her shape, then more and more of these young people were like, wait a minute, I don't need to wear a booty shorts. I can wear a dress that's form fitting and get the same response. But if we don't then celebrate the cover up at times, if you will, and I say this, I saw I saw a young lady who all the young people love, and when she came to an event for her prom, she was covered from her neck all the way down to the ground, and she had peekaboo shoulders, and everybody said that she had the best dress there, even though she was fully covered, and it was because she presented it with class. So I think that a lot of things that we're seeing now, one, yes, because we're taking Jesus out more and more, but two, we as a community have to learn to celebrate. Because, and I'll leave with this, even with T.I.'s daughter, I like the little cute song, but then when she started gyrating, I'm like, oh my goodness. They even got the little babies gyrating,
That's
and
the
and
parenting.
and we have to say, that ain't cute.
Well, Dr. Dean, you just said the correct word, parenting.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting to in the school system. I mean, we don't necessarily control. We don't, in this circle that we have right here, we don't necessarily control the dial that's in the culture on social media.
Hmm.
Church is a small section in society. As
Correct.
much as we think we're huge, the bigger section is the culture. We don't control it. I think y'all said it earlier. Whoever's on these big networks, they have money that we've never seen. They control, but it still should not control your household.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir.
I
Yes,
don't
sir.
care what is on social media. I don't care what's even condoned in your church. Your children starts in your house. And what I've learned, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, being an educator for that long, some of these parents is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some women pick up their daughters, and it's almost like, well, who's the mama?
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah.
so something happened between my pop's generation, me, I don't know, and it's just really
You
a
Well,
sad slide.
you know what it is? What we're seeing now is the mothers who had babies at young ages back then. After us, the young ones started getting pregnant earlier. And now you're seeing them being the sister friend instead of the parent. Because a kid can't really parent themselves if they're a kid. So we're seeing a lot of these kids are from those younger parents.
but I think that one of the things, in addition to that, is what you said. The more you take God out of their life, then the more things that we see. We're going now into 4 and 5 generations of young people, or people that have never even stepped foot in the church, don't know nothing about morality, because they basically had, back in the day, well, my mama and daddy forced me to go to church, and so I'm not going to do that to my kids. And so, because they did not require the kids to go to church, the kids never ever had the opportunity.
Right, yes.
Well, going back to our interview with none other than Lindsey Williams.
Yeah.
So, Lindsey, tell me, you're in education, you're working with young people, you're in the church, your father pastoring, you're a great songwriter,
pastor too.
and you're pastoring. Tell me, as you're moving forth and you're navigating this climate, and I will say this climate, post pandemic, in a climate where black men are still on the, what's the best way I can say it? Black men are still being persecuted, prosecuted. and just based on the color of their skin or the dread of their hair or the beard that they're wearing, you're in New York where lots of action takes place.
Yes.
You know, how are you navigating it? Look like because you look like one of them out there. How are you navigating and helping your young people navigate it too?
Um, I am. I'm kind of glad I'm the age I am. I'll be 46 July 25th. I'm in between. I'm not too old, not too young.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm in between, so I'm
Well, you know, I'm gonna
experiencing
tease you and
that.
say, boy, you still got Similac on your breath. You know, we in the 50s here.
Well, I tell you what, my knees don't feel like no similar. I can tell you that much.
Oh, they're praying.
But I say this: I'm in a good age bracket because navigating through this time is very rough. Um, my father's, like I said before, he's a prominent pastor. I'm a pastor. We both drive nice cars. I've been pulled over. I can't even tell you how many times.
Wow.
And one of the things I've learned, my goal is if you do see the police, the goal is to get home. Last night it was a lot happening outside, police was everywhere. And I will say this to all the young men out there. If you get pulled over, turn off the car, roll the windows down, put your hands up. It don't mean you a sucker.
Right.
It don't mean you whack. It mean you trying to go home when this is over.
Yes.
And not nobody bag either. I've just learned that you try not to not they people don't understand this. Nothing has changed. Only thing that's changed is technology. Methods have changed, but it is still a strong divide between cultures and between race.
Yeah.
They have really put in their minds that we are the enemy and that we are out to do something to them. And I try to tell people, just just be have manners. Have respect for yourself. You don't have to, like, going back to what we were saying before, you don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to show everything. You don't have to, have your own stand. I never let society tell me how to dress, how to feel.
Right.
Have your own mind. That's what I tell the young men in my church. Have your own mind. Make your own decision. Be influenced only to a certain degree. That's my answer to that.
Right. Now, my
Do what
question
you
to you:
feel is best.
how did divine connection start? What? Let's talk about the history of your ministry. You're a pastor, and you have a strong musical ministry.
Yeah, my well, Divine Connection started from my home church, maybe 2000. I started playing the organ for Hezekiah Walker in 2000. And he was determined to keep the choir alive. That was around the time where Judah McAllister and Israel New Breed and all that stuff was coming out, and the choir thing was kind of plunging, and
Right.
everybody was leaning towards praise team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was determined to keep a choir in my church. And so, but they just couldn't get it to where I wanted. And Bishop Walker, we would go places, and we thought that things was we would be on with different groups, John P. Key and I think people that time, Ricky Dillard, and they're very musical. And Bishop Walker will always come out on top. And I'd be like, sometimes even when Ty Trippy first came out, everybody knew that music was crazy, and I was just always wondering, like, Bishop, how did we make it out? He said, "How many times have you come to rehearsal, and I told y'all it's time to pray?" He said, "Whatever issues you have at your church, sit the choir down, stop rehearsing, and start praying." Man, we prayed for like 6 months, shut the choir down, come to rehearsal and pray. After that, the church choir took off like crazy to the
Wow.
point where other people was asking from other churches, "How can we sing with your church choir?" And a lot of pastors was getting mad that their members would sing with us when my dad would go out to preach. And we kind of sat down and talked about it. We came up with an idea with just start a community choir.
Right.
So we changed the name from the St. John's Celebration Choir to Lindsey Williams and Divine Connection. And the rest is history, man. That was about 9 years ago officially. But the Celebration Choir actually did a little demo tape. I Belong to You was written way back then. So some of the stuff I'm releasing now I wrote years ago, but that's all through the church. So that's how it started, man. Prayer. And we didn't start off with a whole bunch of bona fide singers. God anointed us.
Wow.
And I will say that, I mean, you don't always have to recruit. Sometimes God will honor your sacrifice. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I mean, he it may be his will, as may not be, but he honored our sacrifice and he gave it to us, you know. And so I tell everybody, don't rehearse more than you pray.
Come on, and that's important because that's how we were raised too. Him and I
Yeah,
grew up Kojic, and
yeah,
back then, if you wasn't saved, you wasn't even in the choir.
right.
It was tough, but it made us who we are today. And I think we've kind of let our guards down for the sake of drawing people to Christ. But
Mm,
what the Bible say, if he be lifted up, he will draw men unto him. So I think we
yeah,
need to kind of turn that thing back around to where he is the prominent surrounding piece, and not trying to, we got to get the young people to come. It,
that's
these
so
people
crazy.
these people are looking for an answer. They're looking for somewhere to come. So we can't be like them because they won't see no difference.
I just did something for Drake. The choir just did something for Drake, and you know the first thing his people asked us for was robes. We don't have one.
Everybody.
And you know what that says to me? Every time we do something, we've done stuff with a lot of secular artists, and they always ask for robes because in their mind, that what they think church is a choir in robes, a certain setting, and wow. And I'm not knocking Kirk Franklin. I don't even think gospel artists consider Kirk Franklin gospel artists anymore. He's just an entertainer, inspirational entertainer, I
I
believe.
agree.
But and
I
that's
agree.
fine because the gospel to me, I hate that they put everything in one lump category of the
Category.
gospel. Everything ain't the gospel.
No, that's fact.
Every song that's sung in church ain't the gospel. Some you got some inspiration, you got some testimonial,
Right.
you got some experience songs,
Right.
and but the gospel is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so these people are not looking to these people that's in the world. When they think of a choir, they think of robes, they think of Amazing Grace, Oh Happy Day, they think
Organ.
yonder, and you know, they're we're so busy trying to get the young people, but you don't have to change. People like what they like. I say this and I let it go. I'm also over the younger, so I don't consider myself a denomination. My church is under Bishop Walker, and he is a it's Pentecostal influence, but it's not a denomination. But my dad is Baptist, and so I have dual membership, and they both my pops and Bishop Walker are cool. They know what I'm doing, but I'm over the young adults for the state of New York for the Baptist Convention, over 2,000 young people, and I'm over them. And we did a data one day, and we asked people, "Do y'all want lights, camera, action, stage, smoke, or do y'all want choir stand, choir robes, traditional? Do y'all want a mixture of both, or do y'all rather be on Zoom?" Do you know most people said a mixture, and most people didn't say stage, camera, lights, and smoke.
Wow.
Now I'm talking about young adults and teenagers. A lot of them said we want the church to be the church. Now we don't have to be traditional and dried up and
Right.
choir stand robes all the
Right.
time. But we do want the church to be the church. And that really blessed me because while we're so busy trying to, like you said, conform,
Hmm.
people want the church to be the church.
You
It's
know,
okay.
Right.
one of the things about it, and this is, and it's sad I have to make this correlation, but it's just like being in a fraternity or sorority. No matter how you look at it, those fraternities and sororities are going to operate the same way they have always operated because they keep tradition
Yes.
and legacy.
Tradition is strong.
And the reality is while the church should stand true to who they are in the sense of preaching the word of God and teaching morals and standard, it doesn't mean that we have to treat tradition, but
Right.
to teach the morals and the standard. That's how we're going to draw young people. Again, young people are very simple. I could give you the same formula that my uncle gave some 50 years ago that somebody gave to him, and that is you bring young people together, you allow them to be actively involved, you have some food
Feed
up in
them.
there,
Feed them.
you know what I'm saying? And them young people are going to be consistent. They used to say, when I was youth pastor of a church up in the Bay Area, they could not understand how we would move from a few young people to all these young people coming. It was a simple formula. And young people want to get together. young people
Right.
want to see each other. So church was as much social
Yes, it
as it was
was.
spiritual.
Yes, sir.
It was a place to be. And my uncle used to always say to me, either you will let them win you or you will win them. I remember our whole recruitment tactic was to the brothers like, hey man, you see the girls that come into our church? They're like, wait a minute, that girl go to your church? Yeah, man, I'll be there next week. You say to the young ladies, hey, you see the brothers that come to our church? They said, that brother go to your church? I'll be there next week. And before they know it, the church had got up in them,
Come on.
but there was a draw because that's where the young people were at. So my uncle used to always say, you don't have to go to everybody's party. You can make the party right there, and bring them into your party. And so we always had Pat, we would always have young people. Our biggest thing is that we were those, we grew up Kojic. And so, there were certain conventions that we would
Youth
go to.
Congress.
The youth congress was our big thing because we got to stay in a hotel, you know what I'm saying, without our parents being around, you know what I'm saying, and we were gone for a whole week. Then there was the aim.
And
That was when you was real deep, so you could go to all the different things. And so I think that we just have to provide the platform again for these young people, and it will start drawing them back in because even on the school campus, I know that those young people every time they go through something, uh, Mr. Lindsey, can we talk?
Hmm.
You know, I would imagine that that's part of your testimony because they seek
Yeah,
you out.
but there's still a lot of young. There's a whole lot of young people in church. They just ain't in certain churches no more.
Yeah,
And that's why I tell some of these pastors. They be like, how you get some young people? I said, because they don't really go to church. I said they go to church. They just stop going to certain ones.
right,
exactly.
It's for certain reasons. And now there is a whole group of people that are not saved that
right,
need to get saved.
right.
But young people in church, the pandemic gave us a few more options,
Mm-hmm.
and some people start seeing. I will say this: the denominational church. You mentioned Church of God in Christ and Baptist and AME and stuff like that. The established church, I believe, is in trouble because I just say this: Baptist people feel God is Baptist. And
Right,
I got a lot of coaching friends. They feel God's coaching,
right.
and some people are more loyal to their denomination than they are God.
Hmm.
Jesus said in Matthew 9, somewhere around 9:24, you teach the doctrines of men instead of the doctrines of me, and there is a downfall in that tradition because some things that worked 50 years ago don't work right now.
Correct.
Something that did work a long time ago did. And where I work at, and I'm sure you agree with me, nowadays the teachers ain't 50 and 60 and 80 years old no more. These teachers are 20s,
Mm-hmm.
30,
Mm-hmm.
principals are 35.
Mm-hmm.
And in church, you see somebody 35, they want to call them young people. No, I told them at my pop church, people that's in 35 years old, they have education, they have degrees, they have to be in administration roles. So getting like even with the divine connection, um, and my church, the Glory House, I have educators in my school, in my choir, in my church, who are teachers. I had a girl just graduate from Howard, with a master's. These people have to be the ones. I hate to say this, they need to be the ones in high-ranking positions if you want them to stay.
I agree.
No longer can no longer push these people to the media, the praise team, and the choir, and they're in their 30s. People don't want to sing no more. They don't want to do dance. They done worked so hard to move up in the secular world,
Right.
and then you still got someone in administration in church, and they 87 years old, and they can't even use a calculator nor a phone, and you want to like it's it still has to overturn. It has to make sense. So
Right.
I'm not saying they have to run everything.
Right.
We got to get them out the praise team and the choir only.
Right. So your choir recorded their album. Let's talk about the transition and God's
Mhm.
timing.
Okay. Well, we had a live recording scheduled May 2020, and the pandemic shut it down. I lost like 20 grand
Wow.
in that whole thing with deposits and venues and a non-refundable this and that. So we released some singles. So I have 3 albums worth of music I'm sitting on right now. I got stuff that is crazy, and I'm just waiting on. So we're gonna record next year, May, God's willing. I'm not gonna do it out of town this time. I'm gonna do it right in Brooklyn. I'll let you guys know. It'd be great if you guys can come. I'm
Oh
looking
yeah.
around Memorial Day weekend or after or before. It's gonna be sometime in May, definitely on a Friday, maybe a Saturday. But I'll let you guys know.
Please.
We have so much music, and I'm gonna try to get through as much as possible. I mean, we remix stuff. You go on YouTube, and we got a lot of views. Everybody's waiting. Vincent Bohannon is here in town. He's doing a lot of great things. And so, choir music is still alive through a lot of people, but I am kind of sitting kind of quiet now because I just want to make sure this goes through. I owe the industry, especially my city, New York, an album. And it's not that I didn't want to do it, but 15, 20 grand is a lot of money.
Oh my God.
So, and it's not always easy to recoup. So I'm believing God is going to make a way.
Yes.
We prayed, so just for now we got the singles out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, one of the things that I would say is that what I've been teaching as a record executive is the power of the spin. And a lot of people are like, "How do you get your spins up? How do you get your spins up?" And what I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to is most of the people's spins are up because people are using their music for reels. You know what I'm saying? Because reel is that 1 minute where you need to get that 1 minute to get an official spin. And so people use your stuff for their reels. And so I tell all the artists, make everybody in your choir do a reel. And then tell all their family members to do a reel. And before you know it, it will begin to trend. And the reels will then pick up your visibility. Other people will then start saying, hey, just like that song, if I was your best friend, right? I think that was a 50 Cent song.
Hmm.
They took that and everybody started using it, showing their boyfriend girlfriend relationship, and I think that went up to almost 1 million spins in about 3 weeks because everybody was using it because it was had some type of sentiment, right? Even in the sense of remixing, "Let's Have Church" and "I Belong to You." All those songs I think can resonate, and the reels will be amazing. And before you know it, Spotify pick it up and put it in the most watch list and everything like that. So I am encouraging.
Those two songs have done well. I
Yeah,
mean, we've hit the charts plenty of times with those songs.
yeah,
Thank God. Like I said, those songs recorded maybe 5 years ago,
yeah.
and they've been on top playlists. I mean, I'll be sometime on the web, and I've even seen a lot of convocations with the "Let's Have Church" in the background. "I Belong to You," so that's very encouraging.
Hmm.
I still the check's still coming in from 5 years ago. So
So
somebody
you
out
you
there,
wrote the music? You the writer?
yes,
Yeah, and that's really key. And I always tell people that residuals will continue to come in because I believe that both these songs are evergreen. I believe that they're going to cycle in what I call cycle in the life of music. It's going to hit and then it slow down, then it's going to hit, and you're going to consistently see residuals from that because it's relevant. And I listened to "Let's Have Church," and when you done brought it, I don't know what you come to do. When you broke it into that, I think every congregation that was anybody was like, okay, he done took it all the way back.
Yes, you can feel it.
Yeah, and I think that that's good because what I'm seeing is that you make evergreen music, and as an executive, I tell people it's not like it used to be in the '90s and the 2000s. We done went all the way back to the '50s and the '60s, side A and side B. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because of the fact the way the industry is, people are no longer required to buy the whole LP to
They
get
buy
your
what they
music
want.
unless you then lock it in and say you
right,
can't get it. And I said, but then you lock yourself out sometimes when
Hmm.
you do it that way. And so
right.
I just want to keep on encouraging you to continue to drop those singles because people are gravitating to you. Now, I want to just ask, can I ask a personal question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I love Brooklyn. But the next time I come to Brooklyn, what's the best pizza joint? Because everybody got the best Chinese food and best pizza joint. I want to know, in your opinion, what's the best pizza and the best Chinese food in Brooklyn, New York?
In Brooklyn, well, there's a little Chinese. There's a spot not too far from James Hall Church, right up under the L, under the train station. I forgot what it's called. Um, See, I don't know names like that because there's so many, but I know where it's at. When I'm in certain areas,
Hmm.
Hmm.
that's what I go to. But I live in Queens, but I do Queens and Brooklyn is like kind of like
Yeah.
cousins. So
Hmm.
uh, there's a spot that everybody knows in Queens. That's Geno's. That's
Hmm.
always a good spot for pizza, and there's a lot of Geno's different around. I
Yeah.
meant to say this earlier. I'm sorry, I forgot to say this about Let's Have Church. Let's Have Church was actually an accident. I wrote that for an offering song. That wasn't even we wasn't even supposed to sing that for real. That
What?
was an offering song. I write a lot. We have an opening song we do for our services. So at that time, Divine Connection was actually doing services every fourth Sunday or something like that.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, instead of just singing random songs for offering, let's just I wrote an offering song, and it caught fire. Like it went crazy. And Meacham Clark does it all the time in Florida. Another guy, Demetrius West, just recorded it. I mean,
In
everybody.
Oakland.
And then Jacob's Choir, they done did it. Everybody's recorded it and singing it. And I mean, you're probably going to hear different versions of it by this time next year,
Hmm.
because a lot of people have asked me for it. And I said, go ahead. We did our part. I'm gonna flip it on my recording, so I ain't doing it no more. Y'all will hear my new version.
That's the New York institutional stuff because institutional radio choir used to have their songs to open up the radio show and stuff. So that must be an East Coast New York thing.
Yeah, we do. I do originals. My whole service at one time was original, and then I kind of got away from it. But after a while, it gets. I hate to say it, there's not a lot to pull from anymore. I don't. I don't even. I didn't watch the BET Awards. I'm sorry, y'all. I mean, I don't want to break the internet when I say this. But I don't listen to music no more. It's
Hmm.
discouraging. It ain't the same. I play, so some of this stuff is boring.
Mm.
I'm sorry. That's why these intros are so intricate. That's why you can't play the intros because the song ain't got but three chords. So these guys are putting their whole mastery into the intro and the outro.
Right,
And I'm still a intro, verse, chorus, bridge, vamp guy.
right,
You know,
right,
that's me.
right.
It may be old school, but I believe a song needs to have dimensions, man. And
Hmm.
I agree.
some stuff is nursery rhymes, and I mean, more power to them. But
Are you
trying to
placing
do
your
it right.
music? Is other artists starting to record your stuff?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, like I said, Demetrius West, he's doing I belong. I mean, not I belong. Let's Have Church.
Hmm.
Meacham Clark down in Florida, he does it so many times. He has a conference called Let's Have Church, and y'all know he's the writer of "You've Been So Good." He's done so many things. They're singing in Chicago. I mean, all over the country, people like they love Let's Have Church. I Belong to You hit pretty well as well. Another song I have coming out, I gave it to Bishop Walker. It's coming out on his new record. It's called Victory.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. He's gonna do really well with that. I think his is dropping. His album's dropping maybe by the end of the year. Bishop Walker. I have a record song on that. We got a lot of songs, man. If
So,
somebody said, "Listen, here's 20 grand," I could record 3 albums tonight.
Wow,
so,
We got like
so,
20 songs sitting in the vault, 25 songs sitting in
that's
the vault.
amazing.
so, if a label came up and said, "Look, here's 20 grand. Give us that first record. You ready to move?"
Tonight, without question. Did y'all see that video of us in the studio with Rodney Jerkins? It went viral.
I didn't see
Uh,
that one.
We was doing something and he came out. His We was in one booth. He was next door, and he came out. He's like, "What's y'all doing in there?"
Church boy,
And
he's a church man.
we got stuff, man. I got stuff that I just taught, and I had to stop teaching because I'm just trying to rate on this record. So tonight, I'm not even joking. Tonight we could do it.
You was Good Morning America too. Wasn't you guys on Good Morning
Yes.
America?
Christmas Day we was featured. They featured James Hall Christmas Eve, and they featured us Christmas Day.
so let
And
me.
say something about that. That went viral, and people thought we rehearsed for weeks and weeks. I'm putting the record out there to let y'all know this is the honest truth. I got a call from Stanley Brown Christmas Eve, 6 p.m.
The Stanley Brown.
He said, "Yo, they about to call you in 5 minutes. Just say yes." I said, "Stanley, what's happening?" Me and Stanley hang out. Stanley could be getting a phone call. We be eating. He get a phone call from China, Japan. You don't know who called Stanley. I said, "Stanley, who called?" He said, "Just say yes." I hung up the phone. My phone rang. They said, "Can you be at, I think it was Fox Studios. Can you be there at 5 o'clock in the morning with your choir?" I said, That's like 10 hours from now. So yeah, we need you to be. We want you to feature you all for our worldwide Christmas show. I said yes because Stanley told me to. We had nothing prepared, nothing. I told the choir to get there at 4:30. We actually did all those renditions of those songs in the green room. 15 minutes. So they gave us 6 songs and they gave us 15 minutes in between each 6 songs. We literally made up everything in 15 minutes and it went worldwide and they thought we prepared for it for 6 weeks. Not so.
So,
Wow.
so what do you think about guest collaborations?
I think it's awesome. As long as it's the right chemistry.
Okay, boy, I got an artist for you.
That's something though.
I got
Wow.
an artist for you. You know,
Yeah.
and he good. He. I mean, when I tell you he good, he good. I'm gonna talk to you about. You know, they call him Dr. Dean, but we'll talk about that offline.
Okay. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
but no. So everybody, for all of our listeners out there, you guys heard him. For those of you guys that
Yes.
already make investments, he said give him $20,000. He could do 3 albums starting tonight. But we ain't gonna say you don't get all three of them. You know, we're gonna say y'all got 20,000 and want a great album. Y'all call the brother up and make your investment. You know, I'm telling my board of directors, y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that.
Got to plant
Let's
seeds
let's see
on
what we're
some
gonna
good
do with it.
ground.
I appreciate you,
Man.
Pastor Williams, for
Sure.
coming
Yes.
on. Love your song, love your music.
We
Now
have a
I
question.
love your story, and because I love your story, I'm gonna keep on following you and see what we can do to continue to support and be a blessing to you. I know that again. You are an evergreen songwriter, and I believe that your music is going to go down from generation to generation.
Yes. Good
And
church
so
choir stuff. Woo.
I appreciate you. And Robert, we're going to go right into having you introduce this song, I Belong to You.
Are you going to Stellar Awards?
I have a lot happening. My pops is in the hospital. Got to pray for him. So
Oh
I'm
yes.
actually taking care of his church and mine.
Wow. Okay.
And around that same weekend, he and I have to preach in Texas. So
Gotcha.
it's a little hard to maneuver the two churches and kind of move around. I've been to Stella Awards, and I think I may just watch it if I can. But it's kind of hard.
Gotcha.
Ministry
Yeah.
starts at home. So
Yes, sir.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
sir.
Well, with that being said, you pray for us. We are up for Internet Station of the Year. So we hope to be bring that home. So next time we
Already
talk to
done.
you, it'll be a Stella Award winner, not just Stella nominated. But whatever God has in store, the one thing we're gonna continue to do is play great music,
Great
and you,
anointed
sir,
music.
have great music. Introduce "I Belong to You," and we're gonna play it right here for the people.
All right. This is I Belong to You, written by yours truly, sung by Divine Connection. Hope you enjoy it.
Right here on God Radio 1.
.com.